everybody. This is Reverend Ann, and I am here in my home, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about Epiphany and to bake something that I hope I can show you how to make, and then you can make it at your house too. It uses ingredients that you probably have around because nobody wants to go to the store right now. So today, January 6th, is Epiphany. It's also called Three Kings Day. If we were at church today, we would get the kings and bring them and set them around our manger where baby Jesus is with his mother Mary and his father Joseph. So on Epiphany, we remember the visit of the Magi, sometimes called the Three Kings, but they were just wise men. They were scientists or astrologers, and they came to visit the newborn Jesus. So on the night of Jesus' birth, as you remember from the story, a giant star in the sky appeared, looked like over Bethlehem, and the Magi, or these astrologers who studied the sky, they saw the star and they wanted to go see what that star meant and where it was to find what was there. So they set off on a long journey. They were very far away, and they traveled all the way to Bethlehem. And the story goes that they arrived on January 6th, which is today. The Gospel of Matthew says, "And behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house they saw the child with Mary his mother. They prostrated themselves, they knelt down and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him the gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh." Could have been more than three kings, actually, or three wise men. It doesn't say in Matthew, does it, how many there were? It just says that there were those three gifts. So we kind of figured there were three wise men, but who knows? There could have been a whole lot of them. So the Epiphany, or the showing, the revelation of Jesus, teaches us that Jesus' coming into the world was important to the whole world, and that the good news of Jesus Christ is meant for everybody, no exceptions. And because of the light of the star in the sky, in Epiphany we talk a lot about light and think about how Jesus is like a light, helping us to see ourselves and others and our world and creation better. In many countries, children get their presents today on January 6th rather than on Christmas Day. So they have to wait longer than you do. And when I lived in France, Epiphany was a day of celebration, and they made a special kind of cake called a galette des rois, or a king cake. It has a name in Spanish too, but I don't know Spanish very well. And they do that in Spain. And they eat this special cake. And inside the cake, they hide either a little bean or a little figure in porcelain sometimes. I have a little naked plastic baby that I put in my cake. So they hide it in there, just one. And the custom is that the youngest person of the household, well, they'll cut the cake in however many pieces, have people there. The youngest person in the household chooses which piece to give to everybody. And then they eat their cake, and the person who finds the baby in his or her piece is the king or the queen for the day. And they get to wear a crown and do what they want. For adults, the custom goes that if you find the baby in your cake and you've had a party on Epiphany, that the people who find the baby then have to have a party for everyone the next time. So people have lots of parties during the season of Epiphany all the way up until Lent. So whenever you have king cake at every party, and if you find a baby, you gotta have a party for everybody. So it's a nice way to keep the parties going. So today, I'm gonna make a king cake, and I've got the recipe that you'll get in this email, so you can make it at home too. This is a very simplified recipe. I can make a really good king cake like they do in France, and I will do that for you all someday. Bring it to church so you can have some. But it involves a lot of ingredients that I don't have, and so I just thought, well, I found a recipe that uses ingredients that you all should have at home, and it shouldn't be too hard to make. So we'll see how it tastes. I've never made it before. Hopefully it's good. All right, so here's what we need today to make our cake. We need a bowl, a sifter, although if you don't have a sifter, it probably doesn't matter. You need some flour. It's 1 1/4 cups of flour, just regular. You need a cup of sugar, right here. You need 1/4 cup of sugar. Oh no, this is actually a cup of sugar, and I put 1/4 cup in here, but it's on the recipe. So this is ground almonds. I just got the almonds that you buy at the store, the blanched almonds, and I ground them in my food processor to make kind of a powder, and I mix the sugar in with that. You need baking powder. Oh, you need raisins, and I didn't have any raisins, but I did have some old dried out currants, so I hope they still taste good. So raisins or currants right here, and 2 eggs beaten up right here, and vanilla. So again, stuff that, except for the almonds, that should be easy to have around the house. You could probably also use walnuts. If you ground up walnuts, that would probably taste good too, just a little bit different. So here's what my recipe says to do. I have preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I've taken a baking sheet, and it says to grease the baking sheet, but we don't have water here in Louisville, and I don't want to do too many dishes, so I'm being lazy. I'm going to try putting it on parchment paper, so I don't have to wash this pan. So we'll see what happens if I do that. It may stick, it might be fine. So I'm going to take the butter. Oh yeah, I forgot. You need 6 tablespoons of butter. So I'm going to take this butter and put it in my bowl over here. And then I'm going to take my sugar and I'm going to blend it all up together, you know, just like when you're making any kind of cake, right? Made a cake. Here's my sugar. Dump that in there. And just start messing this around. And while I'm messing this around in here and blending it up, I want to call attention to my lovely apron that I've had for a really long time. It's very appropriate for today. A friend made it for me when I was teaching French, but it doesn't have anything to do with French. It says 3 wise women, not wise men, 3 wise women would have asked directions, arrived on time, helped deliver the baby, cleaned the stable, made a casserole, brought practical gifts, not gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Let's see, what else does it say? Well, brought practical gifts. There would be peace on earth. So anyway, that's my funny apron to wear on Epiphany. That just may be true. So here we go. Of course, the butter. You probably don't want to use one of these. You want to use a spoon because the butter gets stuck in there. All right, so once the butter is all blended up with the sugar, then I'm going to add the eggs. So here they are. I've already beaten my eggs. Put that in there, like that. I'm going to beat those in, mix them all up. So then it calls for 2 teaspoons, I believe. Let me check. No, 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So here's my vanilla. Put a teaspoon of vanilla in there. Like that. Stir that in like that. Okay, then I'm going to sift the flour and the baking powder into this mixture. So again, this just uses one bowl, which is great if you're in Louisville and you don't want to be washing your dishes with special water. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna pour my cup and a fourth of flour in here. Oopsie, I'm gonna add some baking soda. Takes baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Use the half because I already got vanilla in the other one. So one teaspoon and a half teaspoon. There we go. Now the fun part, my granddaughter would like doing this. I'm gonna sift this in here. Sift half of it on the counter. There it goes. All right. Then I'm gonna mix this in here, and it's gonna make kind of a thick batter because we don't want it running all over the place. So I'm gonna put in now the almonds. It's gonna thicken it up even more. I'm really gonna use a different spoon here. I'm gonna use this thing. That was not clever to use this. Let's see, I've never made a cooking show before, so you can tell. There we go, it's stuck in here now. It's great. All right. So see, I'm so slow moving, you could do this with me and get done really fast at the same time I do. All right, so I'm gonna mix this in. It's very thick and hard to manipulate. Okay, and while I'm mixing this up, I'm gonna add my raisins, my currants right here. And when I get this mixed a little better, I'm gonna add the baby so that nobody knows where that baby is. See how thick this is? It's very thick. And I'm gonna use my hand now. And I've got hand sanitizer right here, so they're nice and clean. All right, so mix this in here. I'm gonna take my baby. Here's the baby. Stick it in here so nobody knows where it is. Mix it around. All right, now I'm gonna take my baking sheet. It smells good, it smells like vanilla. Baking sheet. Let's see so you can see. You can see that baking sheet. And I'm gonna plunk down this dough. Probably don't want to mix it up too much because it makes it tough when you do that, usually. But everything's all mixed in. And I'm gonna make a round because a king cake is always round. The circle, I guess, the circle of life and eternity and God. And also because people decorate it usually with a crown. People will put a paper crown on top. I don't have one of those. So that whoever gets to be the king or queen gets to wear the crown. Let's see, so it says here to make about a 1/2 inch circle. I mean a 1/2 inch thick. So it needs to be a little thinner here. Just want it to not get done in the middle. Kind of like a big cookie. Might taste kind of like a big sugar cookie, actually. All right, like that. Let me get a paper towel because my hands. Just a second. And since I can't wash my hands, that's what happens. All right, so once I do that, I'm going to show you what they do in France. It doesn't say that in my recipe here. But they take a sharp knife and they make a design on the top. Usually use puff pastry, but so I'm gonna make like a big sun. I'm just drawing the lines of the big sun, and hopefully when this bakes, you'll get to see it. You'll see the big sun on the, looks kind of like either a flower or a sun, but it just makes it more interesting looking. that, or leaves, or just some kind of pretty design. We'll see what happens. I'll show you what this looks like that right now. When you do that on the puff pastry, it'll puff up with the design and it's real pretty. Then I want to take the little bit of egg that's left in my bowl, and I'm going to brush this little bit of egg on the top of this, because that will make it brown nicely and make it look better. Didn't save quite enough egg on here. Better than nothing. There we go. So you want to save a little bit of egg back. There we go. And that's it. I'm going to bake it at 350 for 20 minutes. And then I'll take it out. I'll do a taste test. I'll take a picture, and I'll include the picture with this video that I emailed to you all. So it was good to bake with you today. I hope you try this at home. If you do, take a picture and send it to us at St. Ambrose at the office. We'll put your picture of your king cake in the buzz or on Facebook. So here it is, and hope you can enjoy a little bit of fun on Epiphany. Epiphany, you know, is the beginning today, but it goes all the way till Lent. So if you don't get to bake right now, you can do it this weekend. You can do it anytime for the next few weeks. It will still be an Epiphany. You can still make a king cake. All right, everybody take care, and I will see you hopefully on Zoom Church soon. Bye-bye.